Check the score, the only way to start the week.
Turn me up then.
Hey, this is Storm Cadet, and you're listening to Check the Score.
Good afternoon, my people. This is another episode of Check the Score with your lovely host, Zaire Bradley. And I'm here to deliver the goods, so I'm glad you guys are coming here to hear some good sports news and just hear what's going on around the world. Today we have a lot of things going on in the hockey world, basketball, football, so let me touch on a couple of things, including Damian Lillard saying he wouldn't want to play in the playoffs, or he wouldn't want to play during the season if there weren't a good chance for him to make the playoffs with his team, which is a very valid reason to not want to risk your body and just risk your time and effort. We also got the documentaries coming up regarding Tom Brady, potentially, and Lance Armstrong's documentary came out as well. Now, I know some of you guys are like cyclists who really care about that, but he made a lot of noise in the cancer research world, and he's a vital part to what went on with that. So I think it's worth noting. I also have some NFL news as well regarding Antonio Brown potentially locking in with Seattle Seahawks, and also my division rankings as well. So stay tuned and locked in for that later on in the episode. But if anything, I'd like to start off this episode with mentioning a legend that is making his return back to the promised land and to give us back the entertainment we like. Now, you guys should know who this is. He was the youngest champion at 20 years old. His first 19 fights in boxing were all KOs. And we know him as Iron Mike Tyson. Now, the great Iron Mike has made it apparent that he's coming back at 53 years old. 53 years old. He's in the best shape of his life, according to himself. And he's calling out heavyweight champions right now. We're talking Tyson Fury. I'm sure Wilder's going to find his name on this list. And it's crazy to think about such a legend coming back to do what he does best. The first loss he ever took was after being 37-0 to Buster Douglas. And we all remember that being the biggest upset we had ever saw in our lives. And I was a puppy myself, but just knowing that Mike Tyson was one of the GOATs out there, and he still is one of the GOATs to ever get in that ring and do what he does. So I can't wait to see what he has in store. He definitely said he's back and ready to go, and it's going to be legendary when he goes. No matter who he fights, it's going to be box office, and we're all going to be tuned in, ready for that. Now, there's a current crop of people, boxers in the world right now that are keeping the sport alive and doing that, and Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Bud Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., Triple G. There's plenty of guys out there that are holding the sport up for boxing right now, but that's one of the sports that we need to get back into as far as it being at the top of the ranks of most watched sports. And hopefully we can just continue to get more great things out of that. And like I was saying with for the football news for Seattle and Antonio Brown, for him it's been tough for him to find a spot that would actually make sense due to his last couple transactions or just interactions with everything going on with his girl and personal news and stuff. It's just been crazy for him to find anywhere that makes sense. And Seattle is one of those places where they actually pick up wild card players. When you think of two teams in particular that picks up players off the scrap heap, you would say, just for acting up, I would say the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys tend to be those teams to pick up the abusers and the crazy guys, the crazy guys that you wouldn't expect no one put their hands on ever again. And
you forgetting the Raiders.
Oh, how do I admit the Raiders? Literally, the Raiders are the top team, one of the top teams as well doing that. They're just not a prevalent team currently as far as doing well in the league. They're at the bottom every year.
But they always pick up the guys that
they do
either went to jail, or DUI,
all
whatever
that
problems they got.
Right.
They pick those guys
right.
up.
They definitely belong in that list as well, for sure. And he actually, now that you said, that's funny because he actually was playing for the Raiders before he got out of the league. So it's funny you mentioned that as well. So yeah, man, with the Seattle thing, I just feel as though they have a great culture there. I had mentioned on the last episode regarding top quarterbacks in the league, and Russell Wilson was in my top 3. He's a leader amongst men, and he knows how to control the huddle, and he's the fan base's favorite son. So I feel like there's no getting by him. And Antonio Brown can come with all the diva antics he has, but Russell Wilson will meet him with the correct leadership to just get him right and get him on board with what they got going on. There's no turning over this ship. And I feel like he's a great asset to what they got. He has plenty of talent, Hall of Fame caliber receiver, so I don't see why he couldn't succeed with Seattle. Now, moving on to the return of sports the way we know it. Believe it or not, we were hoping NBA would be probably the first sport to come out and say what they had going on as far as planning to return. And I mentioned that earlier on my last episode as well, just as far as them thinking July might be the time for that resurface of the league. But the NHL Hockey League actually was the first league to step forward with a plan to get into the playoffs as far as when they start and come back. There's going to be a 2014 playoff format. This season should end around early autumn or something of that nature, but it's just going to be a good look for sports coming back. Hockey is one of those sports where you have the average fan isn't privy to know too much about it, but when you do watch a good hockey game, you will be in there and watching a lot of good hits and just a lot of creative goals and great team play. So NHL is just the start, and I know other leagues are gonna follow suit to what they have going on and find their own way to start bringing their way back into the world. And hopefully the sooner the better, like I said, because we all miss sports. I don't care who you are. Sports was a part of your life in some way. You might not be a fan of it yourself, but the people move differently when they have sports at their disposal. And I'm glad NHL is making that step. If you guys did not know, there were actually more news rolling out from that Last Dance documentary that MJ himself, Michael Jordan himself, he had a lot to say about players that didn't really like him in particular. One guy would be Isaiah Thomas, and it's getting dark, man, for real. He had mentioned how he did not want him on the Dream Team at all, and Isaiah had mentioned to plenty of media outlets that was the one thing missing on his resume. He's an all-star. He's a Hall of Famer. He was a great college player. He just felt as though the Dream Team was destined for him. It was such an iconic team, and he belonged in that team. Think about it. John Stockton, Magic Johnson, Clyde Drexler, Michael Jordan. There are plenty of guard play, I understand that. But Isaiah Thomas was a two-time champion in the 80s. Around that time, he was the best point guard in the league. Are you going to honestly tell me John Stockton was better than Isaiah Thomas? I couldn't give you that. John Stockton, now, he does have the records for steals. He does have the record for assists. So, obviously, he is one of the top crop point guards, and they were competing for the top spot. So, give him his respect. But Isaiah Thomas was on a whole other level athletically, as far as tenacity and things of that nature. So, you guys, you got to look into what it was that made him great and just see it from what it was. So, you guys tune in for the rest of what I got going on for this episode, and stay tuned for this commercial break. Hey, baby, we back, man. Check the score. I'm glad you guys are back with us to see what we got going on. Up next, for as far as our topics, man, I definitely wanted to get into this point guard battle that we had going on as far as the best point guards in our league at this current moment in time. Due to all injuries, we're going to exclude, we should add on the players that actually are in the league currently under contract. We should forget about the injuries, man. Let's just have everybody in there in the complete pool of what we got going on. Now, you guys might start off your list with Steph Curry, champion, unanimous MVP. He definitely deserves to be up there. But for me personally, I've always had Dame Lillard as the best point guard in our league. Now, I know with the rankings, you would assume that champions should belong at the top of your list. But it's not always about what the championships did for you. I mean, he had the team around him in which it wasn't the hardest thing for him to actually make himself to be the top or be a champion and be a contender in the Western Conference. They definitely had a lot of struggles getting up there, beating past the Clippers and Chris Paul. But Steph Curry, nonetheless, did get it done with Klay Thompson. And Steve Kerr definitely brought that team up from the Mark Jackson days. So I definitely give Steph his due at number 2 as far as my top point guards in the league. I mean, he is the greatest shooter of all time. So, it's really tough to leave him off, even though his defense isn't right where you would like it. And he sometimes just kind of turns the ball over like a daisical with the rock. But you got to know what you're getting out of Steph Curry as one of the top point guards in our league. And it's as simple as that, man. You just got to respect the greats for what they're doing, and there'll never be another player like Steph Curry, though. We have to admit that and understand what that is for what it is. For my number 3 point guard in the league, I'm going Russell Westbrook on this one. The triple-double machine himself. There isn't much you can do with him, right? I mean, on a fast break, he's unstoppable. Probably the best player on a break at this point in time. The stats show alone that he isn't the greatest three-point shooter. But when it comes to playing the point guard spot, back in the day, it was all about setting up the guy to get buckets, not getting your own all the time. And he's great enough to do both. But he likes to attack the basket and create for others. And that's the kind of point guard you want on your team to lead. And every now and then he does take, shots that are out of character, out of whack for the team. But just know that he has the heart to take those shots. A lot of great players don't know when to take shots and sometimes stumble at taking shots that are necessary. But at least Russell Westbrook is willing to take big shots. And he has made quality shots and quality plays for his team. He has been in the finals before. So, with Kevin Durant's help, obviously. But Russell Westbrook definitely deserves to be at the top of this list. At my 4th spot, I probably lock in Kyrie Irving as well. The Brooklyn Nets guard himself is one of the best handlers ever holding the ball. Him and Allen Iverson, I'd say, definitely would be the top point guards to ever handle the rock. Also a champion. He hit the dagger in Golden State's heart a couple years ago. So he has what it takes to take down the champions, and also to be a big shot maker and a big shot taker as well. So Kyrie Irving is he has to be in your top 5. If you're not seeing him in your top 5, your list is out of whack and crazy if you don't have him as one of the best point guards in the league at this point in time. Next up, I'm throwing Kemba Walker up there. Kemba Walker has so much talent and some of the best handles in the league, and he's also one of the better leaders at the point guard position. You can't find too many guys that don't want to play with Kemba Walker, and that's what it takes sometimes to be a guy that sets the table for everybody else. You need somebody you can respect and follow, and Kemba Walker has always been that guy. Even though he was with Charlotte and they weren't going too far throughout the league, you understood his value to the team and what he can do for the Jordan brand and what he can do for the Charlotte Hornets. So I'm giving respect to Kemba Walker and what he's going to do with Boston when they come back. There really ain't no telling. I can't see why they couldn't come out the East with him, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown leading the way, and Gordon Hayward as well leading the way. So got to give respect to Kemba Walker. Definitely one of the top point guards in our league. Up next, I'm gonna go Trae Young for the Atlanta Hawks. Now you might be thinking he just got in the league not that long ago. How is he already ranked so high? Well, Trae Young's attributes are something you also can't manage in other players. I mean, he has the Steph Curry range that most players only dream of having. Trae Young is one of the best ball handlers in the league already at this point in time. He has the nutmeg move on a lock. If you haven't seen him play, you got to watch out for those moves he puts on defenders. He's doing things that other guys aren't even trying to do at this point in time in his career. And I know the Hawks aren't in a great spot at the moment, but they're on the come up, they're on the rise, and I can't wait to see what they have in store with Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins. They just have a great young core, and they're only going to be looking up from here. They have a top pick in the draft after the end of the season, and when they get the draft restarted, so they're going to add another quality young player to the team. So if you know anything about good basketball and young cores and building up, the Hawks have a great young core, and they're definitely on the way up. So just watch out for what they have going on. And Trae Young is everything for them at this point in time. So just know he belongs in this top of this list for what he can do. And he was top in scoring, top in assists as far as point guard. So got to give him his due. Another guy is my favorite. One of my favorites growing up would be Chris Paul. Yes, Chris Paul is still doing it at this age. Late in his 30s, he's still able to deliver and be the leader and be the great point guard that he is. He's still one of the best passers in the league. And there really isn't any holes in his game. You need a point guard that can defend, Chris Paul, facilitate, Chris Paul, score, Chris Paul, and just orchestrate the offense the way you need it to be done. That's Chris Paul, right? So I know he's playing with OKC Thunder team that overachieved for this year, and that's a great thing because they didn't see themselves. Well, they saw themselves personally, I'm sure, getting as far as they have, but we didn't see that coming from Oklahoma City. Sure, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a great young guard, but learning under the tutelage of Chris Paul, you definitely can see the growth and see him becoming one of the most improved players in our league at this point in time. The Thunder are on their way, man. They're on their way to being a great playoff team and moving forward. Even with the loss of Russell Westbrook, and we thought that might have hindered what they had going on, but it actually turned out to be a plus for them in some way because they have a different guy at the helm that runs the offense just a different way. And I'm so glad to see Chris Paul still doing what he does as one of my favorite point guards growing up, for sure. Another point guard I can't leave out this list. Now he cannot shoot the ball. We understand this, but everything else he brings to the table can't be disputed, and that's Ben Simmons for the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons, the way he can run up and down the court is very LeBron-like. At 6'10", playing the point guard spot, I mean, it's Magic Johnson-esque, LeBron-esque. Now he's off by a little bit. He needs to add that killer instinct to his game when he attacks the basket. But other than that, I mean, he has all the tools. In his young 20s, there's so much more he can learn with a great team around him with Joel Embiid. I don't see why he's not going to be able to keep progressing. Now he definitely needs to add the jump shot to his game. Every NBA player we know at the top of the league, they have a jump shot in their resume. I mean, you have to be able to hit at least a mid-range jumper. If you can't shoot threes, okay, can you at least get inside and make some noise? Now, all he's really known for is kicking it out to shooters and attacking the baskets for dunks and layups. But to add that last wrinkle to his game will move him up in my list. But at this point in time, like with that frame he has and the body he has and athleticism he has to be somewhere at the top of your list. Just knowing what he can do, and the Philadelphia 76ers are definitely a contender in the East once again because of him and his running mate Joel Embiid. So Ben Simmons, got to give you respect for what it is, for what you do. So top point guard in our league for sure. I struggle with putting Kyle Lowry in the list, but because I haven't been a big fan of Kyle Lowry, but I don't want to be biased with how he is personally because he's a champion. He's a win. He has won. He was getting to Eastern Conference Finals a lot of times, and he had to go through LeBron James. I mean, that's a tough out for anybody. So you can't really hold that against him and DeMar DeRozan when they were going through those growing pains, getting past King James. I mean, that's just tough for what it was. But I'm going to give Kyle Lowry his due for being a top guard in the league still. He's still a guy that you can count on to make good plays and play great, gritty defense. So, I gotta give Kyle Lowry a spot somewhere up there as one of the top point guards in the league. So yeah, man, Kyle Lowry, you definitely deserve that for sure. Now I'm gonna move on to another young guard in the league, in De'Aaron Fox, playing for the Sacramento Kings. Now, you want to talk about speed and speed kills? You can't look no further than De'Aaron Fox. I mean, probably the quickest point guard in our league, and one of the most improved players in our league for sure. He has a total package when it comes to being a fast break point guard and a guy that can lead. Last thing he probably needs to add to his game is just getting his assist totals up. But when it comes to attacking the basket and being ferocious and using those young legs, man, De'Aaron Fox is definitely one of those guys you can depend on. Sacramento finally found a guard they can lock in as far as their top point guard of that they ever had, really. he's definitely the leader of the team. Him and Buddy Hield, I'd say, are the backcourt of the future. Great shooting backcourt. So De'Aaron Fox, you definitely belong. I can't wait to see what you have left to show for the Sacramento Kings, and I can see you lasting there for a very long time, as far as one of their top guards. So definitely got to put D Fox in that list. I say that round out pretty much the top point guards in our league. There honestly are honorable mentions in the league that can be there as well, but those are pretty much the cream of the crop, man. So you guys let me know if you guys agree with the point guard listing, and who would you have in there as well to be your point guards of the future, and also who are the best guys as well. Now, there are guys that I didn't mention, like Luka Doncic, because I don't see him as a point guard. He has all the point guard skills, don't get me wrong, but he's listed as a 2 guard, and he plays some small forward at 6'8". I just feel as though he's not a point guard, but he definitely has the skill. Same for James Harden. They had him playing the point guard spot as well, but he's a 2 guard. He's a shooting guard to me, and he'd be the top shooting guard in the league. So, don't get it twisted with his skill set and what he can do, but they're just other guards I want to say as far as point guard. So I hope you guys enjoyed the list, and let me know what you guys think about it for sure. Like I was saying, we have a great show ahead of you guys, and I mentioned to you guys about the division rankings that I had going on, and I want to jump straight into that, man. So for the NFC in particular, the AFC definitely was rocking with us last episode, and the NFC is kind of tougher, to be honest, as far as who will be at the top spot and who will be just kind of controlling the league in the NFC. So I'm going to start off with the NFC East to get things cracking, and let's start with the Dallas Cowboys themselves. If I had to guess, I'm going 10-6 for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they have a great roster set up, but it's not always about the roster. It's also about who's leading the ship. And I like Mike McCarthy. I think he's a winner. He's coming from a great place in Green Bay. But it's his first time coaching Dak, so you really can't predict on how things are going to go. But they definitely have a great young talent with Zeke in the backfield, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and I don't see why they couldn't progress and grow as a team. So 10-6 isn't a bad record. They'll definitely be in the playoffs and show what they can do. But we'll have to see what they're really about with the Dallas Cowboys. I know most fans in Dallas are saying Super Bowl, but they say that every year, so you can't take anything they say to heart. So, but coming up next, I got the New York Giants, 6-10 for the Giants. I don't really see them making too much of a jump. With Daniel Jones being their quarterback, it's definitely better than having no one. He's better than some rookie quarterbacks coming in, obviously. So I think there's a good chance they'll be able to show what they can do as far as Daniel Jones, and him having Saquon Barkley, one of the best backs in the league, if not the best back in the league. So 6-10 is a great record for them as far as where they're at right now. There's so many holes in that team. So 6-10 is something you can't really sneeze at, but there's so much room to grow for that team. But they're young, so they're on the come up. So just understand what they have going on. So 6-10 is definitely a pretty decent record for where they're going to be. For the Philadelphia Eagles, I got them as 10-6 as well. Carson Wentz, he's back. He's back in the fold. They were a championship contender not too long ago, right? So most of that team had been intact, and with Zach Ertz, and I feel like they have some weapons where they could make some things go in their way, and they have Doug Peterson leading that team and coaching. So I know they'll be a top team in the division, and they can win the division. So that's why I got them at 10-6. And we'll see what happens with the Philadelphia Eagles. And lastly, I have the Washington Redskins making it 6-10 as well. So the division isn't doing as poorly as it was in years past, going 3-13, things of that nature. So 6-10, moving up with Dwayne Haskins at the helm. I know he'll be going into their future as far as quarterbacks. I kind of wish they would go and grab Cam Newton. He still needs a squad. He needs a team. I don't see why that wouldn't have made the most sense for him to go there and remain in the NFC. It's Chocolate City. It's Washington, D.C. Man, you need a guy that's been there and done that, and he could mold Dwayne Haskins in the time being. So I don't see why Cam Newton is proven and why he wouldn't be able to go to a team like that and show what he has going on. So, Washington at 6-10 is definitely a way up for them. So we'll see if that can happen for them. For the NFC North, in that division, I had the Chicago Bears up first, and I got them going 7-9. Now we know their defense is, a defense we can respect with Khalil Mack leading that defense. But really, it's the offense we worry about the most. Mitchell Trubisky isn't a name we really see as being a young stud quarterback. If anything, this year might be the year make or break for him. Another bad year, man. They're moving on from him as far as I can see. So that's why they got Nick Foles to do what he does, and they don't. I don't really think they see him as a franchise quarterback, but they see him as a guy that can hold down the fort for the time being, because he obviously won with Philadelphia. So they're like, hey, we can plug a guy in like Nick Foles and at least see where we stand and see what we can do in our division. So 7-9 seems to be a appropriate record for Chicago, with a quality defense and an offense that is suspect. But the league isn't full of too many superstars, but Chicago needs to find a way to get somebody on that offense that can produce at that level. The Detroit Lions are moving up in the world. I got them at 8-8. It's about time Detroit actually, stayed at a level where they can compete consistently. And with Matthew Stafford at quarterback still, I feel like they're going to be able to do just that and stay just a middle of the pack team, 8-8. Now with the extra playoff spot being in the NFL, and NFC and AFC, I feel like they might be able to squeak into the playoffs at 8-8. So you got to watch out for Detroit doing that. They won't make too much noise, but they'll still be able to be comparable to most teams in the league, and just deliver an 8-8 record wouldn't be a bad look for them, being consistent with their record last year. So, Matthew Stafford is a guy that can lead them in that way. So hopefully we'll see what's up with those guys in that. And the Green Bay Packers coming up next. I see them at 11-5, mostly because of Aaron Rodgers. He has a bigger chip on his shoulder more than he normally would, because they drafted Jordan Love behind him. And like most quarterbacks, when they look behind them and they see a young stud or a young player coming up behind them, it puts a little pressure on them to do things they probably normally wouldn't do. And his numbers are still going to be fine. I don't see why, Jordan Love would push him out. But if Aaron Rodgers is unhappy and Matt LaFleur is willing to move on from him, I can see Aaron Rodgers doing things, maybe throwing a couple more deep balls down the field. A couple more interceptions might be added to his season. But, he's still a good quarterback, a great quarterback in this league. So, 11-5, they were a great team last year. I don't see why they couldn't get double-digit wins in 11-5 again. Next up, I had the Minnesota Vikings at 10-6. Another team with a stout defense and plenty of Pro Bowlers on that defense as well. Kirk Cousins isn't a guy I look to as far as clutch play, but during the regular season, he puts up great numbers. And, with Dalvin Cook in the backfield running that ball, they're definitely inclined to win a lot of games again this year as well. Zimmer, Mr. Zimmer himself, the great coach, he always has his team tough and ready to make big hits and make plays. So I can definitely see them going in the NFC and making a lot of noise in the playoffs. So you gotta count Minnesota in that crop for sure. And next up, I got the NFC South. I'm starting off with the Atlanta Falcons. 9-7. 9-7 isn't a bad record by any means, and it might have them in the playoffs as well. So, Matt Ryan, I mentioned how he was a top 10 quarterback on the other episode at number 10. I feel like with Julio Jones still being there and them adding Todd Gurley to their backfield, they're definitely going to be a team to reckon with for sure. I need Dan Quinn to make some real plays for that team though. When he brought him in, the first thing that came to my mind was that defense that he had in Seattle. I'm not saying you're going to find a Richard Sherman out of nowhere or find a Cam Chancellor out of nowhere. But for that team, I need defense to be their staple. I need Atlanta to find a stud that they can depend on. At this point in time, I like Deion Jones a lot. A great linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons. But who else is worthy of being named on that defense at this point in time? As far as a Pro Bowler, you can look forward to him being on the Pro Bowl each and every year. They just drafted in the first round. They just drafted a young cornerback. So they're obviously trying to add to that defense and trying to build on what they can in that secondary. So I'm hopeful for Atlanta to do their thing. Carolina, I got them at 6-10. They lost Cam Newton, so really you could definitely see them falling back in the pack. Teddy Bridgewater will be okay, but he won't be enough to move the needle for the Carolina Panthers. Matt Rule is bringing in a new regime with a new team, so there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but 6-10 isn't a bad way to start. For next, I got the New Orleans Saints at 12-4. Another great team with Drew Brees running that. You know, there's no way I can see them falling out the top NFC, maybe the top 2, top 3 team in the NFC at this point in time. So you got to watch out for Michael Thomas, obviously, doing what he does as one of the best receivers in the league. So Sean Payton always doing what he does, but Drew Brees on the outside looking in as far as his career. You know, the prime years are definitely behind him, but he's still a great quarterback in this league for sure. So 12-4 is right where they belong once again. Next up, I got finally the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 11-5. Tom Brady's on the Buccaneers now, y'all. So you know that automatically means more wins, more problems, right? So you know Rob Gronkowski as a star tight end coming up. They have a great team around him, and they got Brady and Gronkowski leading the way. So you know Mike Evans on the outside. They just have so many Pro Bowl weapons to where I could just see them having a air raid a top offense in the league once again. He hasn't had weapons. Tom Brady himself hasn't had weapons like this in a long time, since the Randy Moss days when they grabbed him. So, you know, I could just see it being an aerial assault when he comes out to teams, and hopefully, at 11-5, they can see themselves making a nice push, because Tampa Bay hasn't been a good team in a long time with Jameis Winston, and prior to that, they weren't a great team as well. So, it's time to see if Tampa Bay has what it takes to take the lead by storm. And that wraps up my NFC South. So I'm moving on to the NFC West. I have the Arizona Cardinals at 9-7. It's time for Arizona to start moving up a little bit, creeping up a little bit with that win-loss record. And Kyler Murray, I just kind of see him as a quarterback on the rise. He reminds me of Russell Wilson, and if you guys know anything, you know I love Russell Wilson for his leadership qualities and his mobility. And Kyler Murray is just that. Also a small 5'10" quarterback, but he has heart. When he runs out that pocket, he might get hit and cracked by one of these bigger guys. But yeah, and still he still makes those plays that you can count on. And adding DeAndre Hopkins to his team with Larry Fitzgerald, those are two of the most prominent weapons. And Larry being a Larry legend himself, he isn't as quick as he used to be, but he still knows how to get open and make plays. And DeAndre Hopkins is probably the best receiver in the league, right behind Julio Jones, in my opinion. I don't see why Kyler Murray couldn't bring this team forward from where they were before. Los Angeles Rams at 8-8. Middle of the pack, Los Angeles Rams. They're coming down from where they were as far as Super Bowl contenders a couple years ago. Losing Ty Gurley was a big loss for them, in my opinion. I know Jared Goff is a young quarterback that people have a lot of value in, but I don't see it that way. I feel like Jared Goff is an average quarterback at best. He's just a guy. He's a jag, is what I used to call guys. Just a guy, man, that can throw the ball down the field and potentially make plays here and there, but not someone you can really depend on going forward. So I don't see the Rams doing too much from what they got going on. But 8-8 seem to be right where they belong as far as the talent with Jalen Ramsey and their defense, running that secondary, so they won't give up too many big plays. But I can't really see them going too far out in this season. I got the San Francisco 49ers rounding out this division at 11-5. Now, unlike the Los Angeles Rams, I see San Francisco being a team where they continue to grow on what they had going on. George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league. Jimmy Garoppolo being a great quarterback on the rise. I see him actually in a better spot than Jared Goff, and a lot of people see Jared Goff as that rising star in the division. But yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is coming from a great organization with the New England Patriots, so he definitely knows what it takes to be a winner. And not only that, but he was actually winning with San Francisco. So I know that the team is still stable of what they had going on, have a great coach in Kyle Shanahan. And I see them moving forward with more winning and more prosperity with Richard Sherman and the crew. Lastly in that division is the Seattle Seahawks at 11-5 as well. Russell Wilson, I could say his name 100 times, and you guys will understand how great this team is going to be. Pete Carroll, definitely one of the better coaches in the league still to this day. And they keep retooling the talent. With DK Metcalf being a young rising receiver in the league, I could definitely see them adding, more players before the year begins throughout training camp, because they always find gems for their roster. So, you got to watch out for them, and their running game is always a top running game in the league with him, Russell Wilson, running the ball, but also having good play action and handing the ball off to good quality of backs. So, 11-5 definitely seems to be right in the range of a great playoff run once again. I don't see them making it to the championship, but still, being a competitor that they are and a contender that they are, they're definitely going to be in that mold. And that rounds out my NFC teams as far as who's going to be great in this coming season. So you guys look forward to seeing that from the NFC. My people, we back in there, and I wanted to let you guys know a little bit more about what we got going on for the next couple episodes. Don't forget to catch us Monday and Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. For your sports, man, for the sports culture and what's going on. I touched on Mike Tyson just coming back, and it's an amazing feat to think at 53 years old he still has the heart to even consider coming back on and fighting against these young champions, these young lions out here. And if you see him to this day, he's posting footage online, Instagram, wherever he can, and he's in great shape. Man, if you see him, he's in great shape. Now you can see some gray hairs for sure, but ignore the gray hairs. He's still throwing bombs out there, them left hooks, uppercuts. He's still ready to knock your block off. So just know you can't count out Iron Mike. Now the last time he fought was in 2005, so it's definitely been over a decade and a half since we last saw him even competing in that realm. But they're saying they're trying to pull him back for $20 million. I don't know about you guys, but $20 million to just show my face again, to do what I do best, I think it's worthy to at least consider for a guy as great as him. And I feel like he definitely is considering it, because he's a fighter at heart. All he knows is fighting and being a great competitor. And even though he is doing his popular podcast right now, I feel like stepping away from that for the time being to train for a fight wouldn't be too far-fetched. And I would love to see. We would all love to see it, wouldn't we? From the young generation that don't really know what Mike Tyson was really like, to the older generation that know his come-up story and where he comes from, and the black trunks, the black shoes with no socks, knocking guys out.
It's gonna be some knockouts, man.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely be some knockouts.
Now he gonna have to close them quick, D.
Oh, well, that's how he do.
Yeah, he gonna have, because the stamina ain't gonna be there. Yeah, so I'm thinking, no later than the fourth round, he gonna have to start. The bomb's gonna have to be all out. He gonna have to throw his best uppercuts and jabs, but he's also very precision-like when he throws his punches. So very accurate. So you gotta watch out for Mike Tyson, for anybody that's gonna fight him. But let's make sure we get it done early in the fight, because If it's a 12-round fight, 8-round fight,
it's gonna be terrible.
Ooh,
he's gonna get tired.
You definitely gonna see him wear out real quick, and we don't want to see that part of Mike.
But I can't remember the last time I seen an 8-round fight except for Buster Douglas.
So
or
he gonna go quick.
You know.
It's gonna be quick. Don't worry about it. I can't. I'm like I said before. Tyson Fury got the call, and he's a current top contender and champion in the heavyweight division.
Right.
So I don't see why he would even let it last that far. They're gonna throw bombs at the beginning of that fight.
You know what's gonna happen, right?
What you guys think now?
He gonna make Holyfield come back.
Evander? Now that's another warrior we're talking about. The real deal.
The real deal. Holyfield.
Real deal. Now he's also in great shape, but seeing a match like that would be absolutely iconic still to this day, and we'd all pay for it, top dollar. I mean, we paid for that Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight years back, and they were out there. Oh, Manny was out his prime for sure, but we still paid top dollar for it. And unfortunately, it didn't end the way we had liked. It lasted a little long. There were kind of pillow punches going on, and the heavyweights fight a little differently. They throw haymakers, and they're trying to end guys. So I definitely couldn't wait to see Mike Tyson just to have a chance to go at that. And if you watch his training videos, like I said, you'll still see him throwing punches with speed and accuracy. They're just like, how is he still doing this and still being as competitive as he is with so much going on in his life? And he mentioned so many times prior in his show saying how he didn't like himself as a boxer. His mentality, the way he'd come into the ring ready to kill people, like ready to literally take guys' head off, it changed him as a person when it came to like talking to his family and things of that nature. He became an animal, literally. So I know him kind of dial back on that, and he's smoking a lot of weed and just kind of he's just being a guy to just chill out and just vibe.
Okay.
So now he's putting all that stuff down to get back into the ring.
Yeah.
He's gonna potentially putting that stuff down. There's no telling. I mean, he has his own strand. He's going all the way there when it comes to cannabis. When it comes to just being
his own strand, the Mike Tyson strand.
He's telling you,
what?
he's out. Yeah, he's out there investing in so much in that marketplace because it's actually a big business in that world. So Mike Tyson knows all about that and all kind of psychedelics. He's all into that. So if you watch his podcast, you'll definitely get to see how he gets down with all that stuff. But
I'm about to check that out.
Yeah, man, it's great stuff. So going into the fight, I know he can't be too out of his realm to fight, but we definitely would love to see him make one more, maybe not one more, but just to come back and do what he does at his best level, man. So hoping for Mike Tyson, but that's pretty much all we got for this show, man. I'm glad you guys tuned in and locked in with me. It's your host Zaire Bradley once again. Catch us Monday and Wednesday. I'm sorry, Monday and Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is Check the Score. We're brought to you by X360 FM and Black Market Media.
Lock in with us Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Brought to you by X360 FM and Black Market Media.